Welcome to the Goodyear City Council meeting. We're excited to have you be a part of this important public process. Tonight, you will have the opportunity to address City Council on both non-agenda and agenda items. The agendas and the speaker request cards are located on the tables outside of council chambers. You must fill out a speaker card in order to address the City Council. Please hand in your completed card to the City Clerk before the start of the meeting. If the meeting has already begun, please hand it to any city staff. You may also check the "I do not wish to speak" option on the card. This allows you to still voice your opinion on an item on the record without having to speak. Public comment on a non-agenda item will take place during the citizen comment portion of the evening. These are items that don't appear on tonight's formal agenda. The City Clerk will call your name when it's time for you to speak. At that time, please approach the podium and state your name for the record. We ask that you speak clearly into the microphone. You'll have a maximum of 3 minutes, and there is a timer visible from the podium. When the light changes from green to yellow, your time is coming to an end. When the light turns red, your time is up. Note that you may also choose not to speak if other speakers before you have said what you wanted to say. Shouting, cheering, and loud noises will not be tolerated, and violators may be removed for disrupting the meeting. Goodyear City Council meetings stream live on Facebook and YouTube, and online at goodyearaz.gov. Thank you for your participation in tonight's meeting.
I'd like to call the regular meeting to order on June 21, 2021. Please join your mayor in the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty God, we thank you for the privilege of serving as representatives of our community. We thank you for the many blessings we have to enjoy in our city. And we thank you for your guiding us through the difficult seasons from which we are emerging. Please guide us now as we discuss important matters that impact our city. Give us clarity and wisdom as we decide the best actions to accomplish our goals. We ask for your protection over all our uniformed personnel, both here and abroad, as well as our first responders and all those who devote themselves to public life. We lift this meeting up to you and ask you to bless all these things. Amen.
Amen.
We have one communication item tonight, and this item is to recognize the winners of the 2021 Goodyear Teachers Rock Kids Choice Award. This is a big pleasure for us, and we're very pleased about this.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm Tammy Vo, the city's Digital Communications Director. And yes, certainly a very exciting evening tonight. Let me just start by saying that I think most of us, as we look back, can remember that teacher in our life that really made an impact. For me, I look back at my time as a high schooler at Saguaro High School. It was my teacher, Miss Goolsby. I still remember her to this day. She was encouraging. She inspired me to just do the best that I can every day when I came to school. So she made a huge impact on me. And there's a lot of students that are feeling that same way tonight about the teachers who are here tonight, who we are going to celebrate. And there's a lot of not only teachers here, but students and their families in attendance to celebrate this great achievement. We are really celebrating the teachers in Goodyear who've made a big difference in our students' lives. And really, especially this past school year, has been so different for so many. Teachers have had to find a new way to really reach their kids with what's been going on with the pandemic, and for families and those students, it really has meant so much to them. During Teacher Appreciation Week this past May, Digital Communications held a Kids' Choice contest to find out which teachers in Goodyear they think rock. And while we are appreciative of all the kids and out there who voted for the teachers and all the teachers who are making a difference, there were a limited number of teachers in certain categories where they felt these were the clear winners. Again, we gave the kids, this is again the kids' choice, an opportunity to tell us who they think is their favorite teacher. So we do have a couple of different teachers, and we'll get to recognizing them in just a minute, but I'll list their names. In our public school category, we have Miss Chanda Armstrong from Palm Valley Elementary. In private schools, we have Mr. Ramon Carranza from St. John Vianney Catholic School. Also tying in the public school category is Mr. David Matsura from Copper Trails Elementary. And in our charter school category, we have Miss Rebecca Shoup out of Basis. We now have a video to show you, to tell you more about each of these 4 winners.
I taught kindergarten for 18 years, and I always use music and art to introduce a lesson. So I play guitar, ukulele with the students, we're all clapping along. I would hear my students just start singing, and then everybody else in my kindergarten class would start singing. What brings a community together are stories, music, and art. Now I'm teaching kindergarten through 8th grade, so I get to share the songs and the stories and art with the whole school. I enjoy when the kids come off of the bus and they hand me the artwork that they did at home. Just knowing that I made a difference, knowing that they took something from the classroom, something that I taught them, and they took it home. There's so many great teachers on our campus, and I felt very honored and humbled when I was selected. I'm glad that I was a part of your child's life and that I made a difference.
Don't be afraid to celebrate the little things. You woke up today, you put your uniforms on, and you showed up to school. Most of you on time.
My favorite part is working with the students and building a community with them. It goes beyond doing things in the classroom that are about teaching or learning or education. It's really about building those relationships so that the kids have an environment where they feel welcomed every single day. I try not to say that this is my classroom. I try to say that this is our classroom. This is our learning experience. A lot of these kids, I've already taught their siblings or their relatives or their friends in older grade levels, so they all kind of knew about me coming in, and they already have like this expectation that this is going to be a good environment for them, and for them to feel rewarded that that expectation was met. It's very fulfilling. There's so much that's rewarding about teaching, and it's really special to be recognized outside of your school for the work that you do in your school.
Some water. I'm good, let's do this. I've been teaching for about 11 years.
Ice cream day, camping day, movie and popcorn day.
I enjoy making connections with children. Building those relationships and forming a classroom community is my favorite. I was very surprised and very honored that my students and their families thought of me and nominated me for this award. I feel really thankful.
Do you guys want to share some of your favorite memories?
Palm Valley is an A+ school of excellence, so I'm surrounded by the best of the best. Our community here is very supportive, so I feel very lucky to be a part of this school. Done. Rocked it.
You ready, Machi? Are you sure? It's gonna get messy.
Today is project week, and my whole week is devoted to geology. I think it's a field that a lot of students look at as kind of a yawn. So to make map making and map skills a little bit more exciting, we're making an actual physical salt map out of a salt dough, so we can add in natural landforms. Get them excited and engaged within learning is probably the best part of teaching for me. Anything I can do to get them excited, I'm willing to completely embarrass myself in that process, and it usually works.
See right there? Let's mix that in with our hands a little bit more.
Students' minds are very powerful, and so often I think that they have this idea that their thoughts don't matter, and what they write down on paper, it doesn't really amount to anything. So I want them to understand that it is very important and very powerful to me to see that and just use creativity to express it in any capacity.
And I want. I'd like to thank the digital communications team for just giving us an inside look into what's going on in the classroom. I think it really allows us to get to know the teachers just so much better. So they are all here tonight, along as you can see with their support groups, their families, their students, their friends. So Mayor, I'll turn it over to you now.
Well, thank you. Well, welcome everybody, and all those that came to be sure you were here watching those teachers get this wonderful award. What an honor. What an honor to be recognized for your hard work and dedication to your students. I still remember my junior high school and my elementary school teachers. And at my age, that's a real feat. But they were so a part of my life growing up. You never forget that. They never forget those lessons. So I'm so pleased to do this. When I read your name, please accept your plaque on behalf of the City of Goodyear. And somebody will give them the plaque. And we're trying to get you're going to come up here. All right, that's great. So I'm going to start out with, and I'll ask forgiveness ahead of time if the name isn't exactly right. Mrs. Chandra Armstrong, Palm Valley Elementary. The next one is Mr. Raymond Carranza, St. John Vianney Catholic School. Mr. David Masura, Copper Trails Elementary. It's probably Masura. Miss Rebecca Shoup at Bases. All right, let's give them another round of applause. There's a lot of people. It's great. Before I start the program, I just want to say a couple of things. Bill, I did not thank you before the council last time when was your last evening as vice mayor. and I greatly appreciate everything you've done. And I'm sure you're going to be helpful for our new Vice Mayor, Brandon Hampton, but I just wanted you to know that I really do appreciate it. All right. Now is the time for citizens who would like to address the City Council. Now is the time for citizens who would like to address the City Council on any non-agenda item within the jurisdiction of the Goodyear City Council. Are there any speaker cards?
I have one, Mayor. Stacy Powers.
All right. And as Stacy comes up, I will just explain the process. Your council may respond to criticism. They can request that staff investigate or report on the matter. They can request that the matter be scheduled on a future agenda. And each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. The yellow light will let you know you have 20 seconds left to speak. Before you begin to speak, identify yourself clearly by stating for the record your name and if you are a Goodyear resident.
She may not be here. It was submitted electronically.
Oh, all right. Well, just let her know that we called out for her, so she knows we did include her. Okay.
We asked.
All right, we're going to go to the consent agenda. Will the city clerk please read consent agenda items 2 through 6 by title only?
Number 2, approval of minutes. Number 3, recommend approval of a new Series 12 restaurant liquor license for Cracker Barrel number 277, located at 1209 North Litchfield Road, Goodyear, Arizona. Number 4, recognize the City Council subcommittee appointments for fiscal year 2022. Number 5, accept a wastewater line, water line, and access facilities easement and a wastewater line and access facilities easement from WC Lakin 1B8 LLC, a Delaware limited liability company, and a wastewater line and access facilities easement from WC Lakin Owner 8 LLC, a Delaware limited liability company. Number 6, approve the preliminary plat for Air Park Logistics Center, subdividing approximately 170.25 acres on the east side of Bullard Avenue and the Bullard Wash, extending from Yuma Road on the north to the south of Lower Buckeye Parkway on the south, subject to stipulations.
Thank you. Does anyone on the council wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Can I have a motion, a second, to approve the a motion, a second to approve item 2 through 6. Do I hear that motion?
Second.
I heard a motion from Councilman Stiff and a second from Councilman Pizzillo. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. Okay, there are 3 public hearings on the agenda tonight. We'll start out with number 7. The first public hearing item is the View 10 Business Center rezoning and PAD overlay. This item, if you'll remember, was continued from May 24th, 2021 at the regular meeting, and the public hearing has already been opened from that time. Hello. Karen Craver, Principal Planner, is presenting.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. The View 10 Business Center is at the southeast corner of McDowell Road and Saraville Avenue. It's 48 acres that are within the Palm Valley Phase 8 PAD, and it's currently zoned PAD mixed use commercial. And that mixed use commercial is an old designation from Suncor when they did the whole Palm Valley area, and it translates into the city's C2 General Commercial Zoning District. View 10 is proposing 30 acres of C2 General Commercial, shown in orange, and 18 acres of multifamily, 24, shown in green. That allows up to 24 dwelling units per acre. With the C2 parcel in orange, the PAD overlay allows for retail warehouse use, and that's not something that's a typical permitted use within the C2 General Commercial Zoning District. So there are some restrictions placed on it. The maximum square footage of 200,000 square feet. The ratio of the warehouse to retail space won't exceed 4:1. And the hours are 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Within the MF24 parcel, the PAD overlay allows for 4-story buildings. 3 stories is what is typically allowed within the zoning district. And those 4 stories will only be allowed beyond the 200 feet of the north property line. So right up against McDowell Road, it'll be the standard building height. Then further south, they can be another story high. And knowing that council and the community is very interested in the multifamily buildings and the architecture of those, View 10 provided some character images to staff, and staff has created a stipulation of approval that ties in the articulation and massing and colors and materials of what will be built on the property to these images that they provided. And staff and the Planning and Zoning Commission, by a vote of 6-0, recommend approval of the rezoning. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. And Jeff Bliley is also here representing View 10.
Would you like to speak? Yes.
Here?
Yeah, right there.
Hello, Jeff Bliley, 701 North 44th Street. Here just to happy to answer any questions. Just a couple of things I wanted to point out. We did do a few neighborhood outreaches to make sure there was no concerns. We sent out a letter before the process. We went a little farther than the city requires, and then we did another letter while we were doing the process. And I only received one phone call from anybody, and he actually wasn't concerned with the use at all. He supported the use. We also heard from all of you and staff that architecture was very important. So what we did is we did provide staff with what we thought were some very nice renderings of architecture for multifamily units, and we were happy to stipulate to those, as Karen mentioned. So just here to happy to answer any questions you might have.
Well, we wait, and the council may have questions for you.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Would anybody in the audience like to speak? I'm going to close the public hearing. Will the city clerk please read resolution number 2021-2153 by title only, please?
Adopt resolution number 2021-2153, a resolution of the mayor and council of the city of Goodyear, Maricopa County, Arizona, declaring as public records those certain documents filed with the city clerk titled Official Supplementary Zoning Map number 22-05A, View 10 Legal Description, C2 Parcel Legal Description, MF24 Parcel Legal Description, View 10 Business Center Rezoning and PAD Overlay dated May 2021, and architectural character images.
Thank you. Can I have a motion, a second, to approve resolution 2021-2153? Do I hear that motion?
So moved. Second.
Heard a motion from Councilman Kano and a second from Councilman Campbell. Is that right?
It was me.
Oh, I'm sorry. The second is from Councilman Loretano. All right. So open for council discussion. Yes, Councilman Kano.
The retail warehouse, is that retail in the front and then warehouse in the back, or it's not two? It's a combined entity?
Yeah, we had been approached. Think of like a living spaces type of use. That's the kind of use that we were looking at. We'd been approached by a furniture retailer that had that same type of setup, and so we asked staff if it wasn't permitted pursuant to the C2. So we asked that we modify it to accommodate that if that use ultimately does materialize.
Wonderful. Love to see definitely support more retail. I want to thank you for not putting the apartments adjacent to the freeway. I think that was a very nice move, and I think that the architecture that you have submitted is very attractive. Thank you.
Sherry, Councilman Loretano.
I would agree with Councilmember Kano. I think she made some really good points. I really do like the architecture because we have had some that come forward and really weren't up to spec. It's got kind of a mid-century modern feel to it. So I do like that. My question is with the stipulation from the 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., if it's like a living spaces or that type, that seems a little early for, I mean, obviously for the trucks, yes, but if you're doing the retail in the front, that does seem a little early to close at 7 p.m. if it is retail.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I wasn't that familiar with Living Spaces hours of operations, but having been there recently, they're actually open after 7 o'clock at night. So, I mean, we're open to modifying the stipulation. I think staff suggested that, and we didn't push back, but maybe it makes more sense to have the commercial side open a little later.
Yeah, and I don't know what what was being thought there. To me, it just seems like if it's actual retail where people are coming in and going to purchase something, 7 p.m. is a bit early, because if you want to go shopping after dinner or something, you get home from work, go shopping, and you want to go grab something, it seems like you might be not getting the retail portion. I get it for the trucks and the industrial portion, not to have those coming and going after a certain time, but I don't know if that's something we can look at, if anyone else thinks that way. So, but I do like the project.
Thank you.
Go ahead. Okay. Vice Mayor.
So, did we have any comments from the Harley-Davidson dealership?
No, we did not receive any comments back from them.
Okay, and can there be complementary uses to the Harley-Davidson dealership in that C2? Can there be more dealership type uses?
Well, we're happy to accommodate a dealership if they'd like to locate. What we have planned next to the Harley-Davidson dealership is for, office type use there. But if it's a dealership use, we're very happy with that.
Okay, yeah, I guess in my mind I was hoping that with the Harley-Davidson they would activate more of that parcel with maybe like for like. I guess I don't go to that many Harley-Davidson dealerships, but
no,
I haven't seen it surrounded by so many apartments. But I was just curious what they thought, or what the businesses would think about that. So, and then, but yeah, I do like that we have more of the frontage road to the interstate as opposed to the apartment right there. So hopefully we can get some more exposure for whatever type of retail will be there. And then I think I brought this up during our meeting too. Just north of that, is that corner, or is it the corner off of Saraville? Those are more apartments on that corner zoned, right?
Yes. There, Mayor, if I may. Vice Mayor, there are apartment buildings at 159th Avenue in McDowell. It's at the northeast corner of McDowell and 159th Avenue, and that's the cul-de-sac that goes directly down south to the Harley-Davidson dealership. And then there are apartments that are located on the south side of McDowell that recently opened, Grayson Place Apartments. They too are on 159th Avenue.
Okay. And then compared to Grayson, how many acres is this compared to that one? Do we know if it's very similar? Is it just the same thing, just turned the other direction?
Similar.
I don't know we're proposing 18 acres, so I think it's pretty similar just from looking at it from perspective, but I don't know exactly how large Grayson is.
I'm just in my mind what I'm going to see there in the future, how much of it. But okay. Other questions I had. So yeah, and the C2 can be pretty much any retail for the most part.
Right.
In that destination, right?
Yeah, we're retaining 30 acres. So right now we've got over 300,000 square feet of office or retail plans. So there's a lot of opportunities there.
Yeah.
One of the challenges of the site is the location. It's not as attractive for commercial users as, say, a Stray Parkway is, because Saraville doesn't go through and it kind of dead ends over there. But
yeah,
we're there and ready. We have the, we'll have the buildings, and we'll certainly accommodate anybody that wants to be on the site.
Okay. Yeah, and if I remember right, you guys also own the property of this, west of this, right?
We own a few. We bought the property over on Bullard.
Yeah.
We have that property. And then when we bought this property, we also bought the property on the west side of Saraville. As you know, Liberty is planning a wastewater treatment plant there right at the corner.
Yeah.
And there's a real narrow strip.
Yeah.
It's a challenging piece, but we do own that piece as well.
Okay. I do appreciate the better, higher-end architecture. Thank you for looking at that before you came back to us as well. I think it looks really sharp, especially if the renderings are going to be like it's going to be there. So thank you. And thank you for not making it completely gray and different grays. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Stiff?
Karen, in the C2 commercial, what else is allowed in there?
Mayor, if I may.
You may.
Councilman Stipp, it's your typical retail use, your service uses, barber shops, hair salons. It's medical and professional office spaces, and even, large-scale shopping centers as well. But it was the warehouse part with this particular use that made it a little bit beyond what's normally permitted.
Right, and I think publicly I want to just kind of reassure everybody that this is not a 200,000 square foot cross-dock facility or a warehouse. And to Councilmember Loretano's point about the hours of operation for this, as long as it's a retail warehouse combined use, I think we should move those hours of operation to at least 9 or 10 o'clock in the evening. I'm pretty sure that even some of the other popular warehouse retail, I'm trying not to give free publicity, but I think they all go pretty late in the evening as far as the pickup warehouse kind of thing. So I would be in support of moving that to 9 or 10 o'clock and amending the stipulation in support of that.
And Councilman Stipp, actually, this was my effort to do a concise PowerPoint presentation to you, and the actual PAD document says that it's the warehouse operations that are limited 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
I don't want to get anybody into a jam that I pull up with my Ryder truck at 8:30 to pick up my sofa and dining room set out of the quote-unquote warehouse, that I'm going to be in violation of the PAD. So I think when we talk about warehouse in that particular use, we're talking about an inbound or an outbound. Mm-hmm. And we certainly don't want the semi-truck making deliveries at 10 o'clock at night for the next day's shipment. That I get. But the consumer pickup, I don't. And that all comes out of the warehouse piece. I would hate for that to be limited to 7 p.m. for them to say, well, we don't want to get in trouble, so our warehouse, you got to pick up your stuff before 7. It just doesn't seem it doesn't seem appropriate, and I don't know if there's a harm in us moving that to even 9 p.m. for that matter, because I don't think the stores are open much later than that. That's my 2 cents.
Councilman Basillo.
First of all, I appreciate the upscale facade. That's always been, for me personally, as well as some of the others on there, sticking point of mine on apartment complexes that are two-tone, building, flat, straight, nothing creative. And I like the drawings. So hopefully you'll deliver just that, and I would be very appreciative. I can appreciate Councilmember Stipp's point. If they're coming to pick up, I don't know how you would write it, if they're coming to pick up a customer as opposed to trucks delivering in there. I can see 9 o'clock there as well, along those lines, to differentiate that as opposed to truckloads bringing the furniture in. You hate to stop the retail going on, at 7. And I don't know how you would go about word that listed just specifically that. I see Christopher moving right now over to the attorney, so I'm sure we'll come up with something. But I can see Councilmember Stipp's point on that. We don't want you to lose business that way. At least I don't.
Maybe I could suggest just a limitation on deliveries, and instead of going from 7 to 10, we say from 10 p.m. until 7 a.m. No deliveries of product.
Yeah. And maybe that's how you do it. I don't know.
All right. So, Madam Mayor, members of the council, we're looking at the Exhibit E, which is the Rezoning PAD Overlay, which contains the restriction on the warehouse hours, which is subsection 4, which says the warehouse hours of operation are limited to times between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. You can just extend that to say customer pickup shall be allowed to 9 p.m. if that addresses council concerns.
It addresses mine. I don't know about everybody else's. And Councilman Stipp. And
fine with me.
So is he saying
Yeah,
they have to close at 7 o'clock?
I don't know. Are you finished?
I'm finished.
All right, Councilman Campbell.
Okay.
Can you tell me again what you said?
The current PAD restriction says the warehouse component can only operate between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. The retail component can be open, I think, to whatever hours they want to operate. So what we're trying to address is the concern raised that while you won't have the heavy warehouse deliveries coming and going after 7, if a customer purchases, a mattress, they can go back to the warehouse and pick it up directly and take it home up till 9 p.m. So that's what the proposed amendment would address.
Well, I was going to bring up that because of the heat, I like to shop at night. I don't like to come out during the middle of the day when it's 118 degrees. So I'm one of those folks that likes to have dinner and then go shopping. So I might hit the stores about 6:30, 6:45. And if they close at 7, then they've lost my business. So if they stay open till 9, chances are they'll get money out of me.
That's a valid point.
Because your store is cool, but I would like to see them. I just want to be sure that that we allow him to whatever he's bringing in. If they want to operate till 9 retail, they can do so.
Councilmember Campbell, there's no restriction on the retail hours to operate. It's just the warehouse hours.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All right, let's vote on.
Wait, do we need to make that change then?
You would need to make an amendment to make that change.
Oh, I didn't know we could do that.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, since you interrupted me, would you please do
No,
that?
it's not in the resolution. We're on the
Part of his
resolution.
presentation.
Madam Mayor, we're on the resolution right now, so we'd need to offer that amendment on number 2, the ordinance. So it'll be the next item.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
So wait till number 2, or you're going to put it on this one?
We'll do it on number 2, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Okay. Well, the city clerk, let's vote on this. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Will the city clerk please read ordinance number 2021-1503 by title only?
Adopt ordinance number 2021-1503, an ordinance of the mayor and council of the city of Goodyear, Maricopa County, Arizona, conditionally rezoning approximately 48.12 gross acres located at the southeast corner of Saraville Avenue, McDowell Road, from planned area development mixed-use commercial to C2 general commercial, 30.51 acres, and MF24 multifamily residential, 17.61 acres, with a planned area development overlay, amending the zoning map of the city of Goodyear, providing for non-abridgment, correction, severability, and effective date and penalties.
Councilman Stiff, can you go ahead and make that with this motion?
All right, Mayor, I'd like to make the motion that we adopt the ordinance as presented and change the stipulation to include that the retail portion may operate until 9 p.m. Is that?
It would actually be I think we were not going to address the retail component, but we were going to say it would be amending Exhibit E, sub 2, sub F. The warehouse hours of operation are limited to times between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. However, customer pickup shall be allowed in the warehouse until 9 p.m. Does that address the concerns?
Yes, that would be exactly how I would make that motion.
Well done, well done. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that motion that he made.
Yeah, Councilman
Very
Ortano
eloquently.
made the second. I think we've done all the conversation we want on this, so let's vote on it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nay? Ayes have it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So
Thank
number
you.
8, the next public hearing item is the Wilhelm Automotive Wireless Communication Facility on property zone PAD. I'm opening the public hearing, and Kristen Williams, planner, is presenting.
Good evening, Mayor, Lord, and Council. I'm here before you this evening with a request from Declan Murphy to hear a special use permit request on a property within the city. The property is approximately 1.5 acres, and it is located at the west of the southwest corner of Old Litchfield and Indian School Roads. The property is currently zoned PAD under Palm Valley PAD with a zoning of mixed-use commercial, which Karen just explained in her wonderful View 10 presentation, that is equivalent to the city's C2 general commercial zoning. And the property is located right here with the star on the map. Zooming in a little closer, you can see that the project is located on the existing property that contains a Wilhelm Automotive. Specifically, it will be located in the southwest corner in the orange area, so it is right here. As a whole, the property is west and north of the Roosevelt Irrigation District Canal and the Goodyear Community Park and the City of Avondale single-family residential. It is east of a vacant strip of land and an APS electrical facility, and it is south of Indian School Road and the City of Litchfield Park, which includes a linear park and single-family residential. The applicant intends to develop an underutilized portion of the rear yard of Wilhelm Automotive into a wireless communication facility and has submitted an application for a special use permit. The Wilhelm Automotive property where the wireless communication facility is to be located, again, is 1.5 acres, and the pole in the equipment yard will be located on the far southwest corner of the property. The pole will be a minimum of 7 feet east of the western existing wall and 13 feet north of the southernmost existing wall. While this does not meet our typical wireless communication facility setbacks in the zoning ordinance, which is a distance equal to the height of the pole, staff worked with the applicant and asked them to move the pole to the far southwest corner so that the pole is not located right in the middle of the site adjacent to an existing building. And it is further from public view and provides flexibility in the future in the event that this site ever redevelops. So with that, no adjacent property owners have reached out in opposition. The facility also proposes a new masonry wall on the north and northeast in order to enclose and screen ground-mounted equipment, and the pole will extend vertically approximately 65 feet in height, and be screened as a broadleaf tree. Why a broadleaf tree and not a palm tree, you might ask? Because it's located near Litchfield Park and the Goodyear Community Park, and that area has a much more mature canopy of trees, and a broadleaf would fit in better with its photosynthesis utilizing friends as opposed to a tall, straight-up palm tree. This is an enlarged image of the site plan. The pole and equipment will be completely enclosed again with the masonry wall, and it will match the character of the existing walls on the west and south. And the sliding gate shall be screened in an architecturally enhanced manner, which shields the interior storage from public view. Staff has evaluated the impact of this proposed special use permit on the greater community, and with no major concerns being found, staff recommends you approve the recommendation from Planning and Zoning for a special use permit for a wireless communication facility on an approximately 1.5 acre property zoned planned area development located west of the southwest corner of Indian School Roads and Old Litchfield Roads, subject to the stipulations of the staff report. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions or concerns.
Thank you. Is the applicant here?
He is.
Would they like to speak?
If you need him to.
Wonderful.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. My name is Declan Murphy, representing TowerCom T-Mobile. I really don't have much to add to Christian's presentation, just to thank you for all his time and effort, but I would be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Well, thank you. In a moment, there may be a question. So are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Would anybody else in the audience like to speak? I'm going to close the public hearing. Can I have a motion, a second, to approve the request for the special use permit for a wireless communication facilities on an approximately 1.5 acre property zone planned area development located west of the southwest corner of Old Litchfield and Indian School Roads, subject to stipulations? Do I hear that motion?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion by Councilman Bazillo and a second from Vice Mayor Hampton. All right, open for council discussion. Councilman Campbell.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. Who is actually building the tower and who's going to own it?
The user on the tower will be T-Mobile ultimately.
Yes, but who's building the tower?
That'd be a question for that.
Madam Mayor, council member, typically nowadays, the way wireless operators operate is that they partner with tower companies that basically will build the site and own the site.
Partner with who?
Tower companies that specialize in building these types of wireless sites.
Council?
Tower companies?
Oh, tower. Thank
Yes.
you.
So in this case, it's a company called TowerCom.
Okay.
They will build the site, will design it to be co-locatable. So this could potentially accommodate up to 3 wireless carriers.
So could other carriers other than T-Mobile use that site?
Absolutely. That's the intent. That
Crown Castle built before, and we've seen what they've done. That's why I was asking, this is a new builder then coming into the city?
TowerCom.
TowerCom. So the reason why I'm asking, is this going to enable the users in the Lucero part of Estrella the ability to get cell phone coverage better than what they have? They keep dropping calls.
This location, and
Is
maybe
it
Mr.
just
Mur-
for that immediate area?
Lucero's quite a distance
I
from
know.
here. Probably 12 to 15 miles.
Thinking the other Wilhelm.
So what area are you just going to do? Just Litchfield Park and?
So, Madam Mayor, Council Member, essentially every network is different. Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, they all have different footprints, if you like. So with this particular site, this is a gap in service that T-Mobile has identified. So there's an issue there. There's a problem with cell phone service and data, which is, it's really all about data nowadays anyhow. So this particular site is being designed to address that gap that T-Mobile has. I can't say the distance it'll propagate the signal, but it's a 65-foot tall site, so it should propagate quite a distance. But that depends on where the usage is. For example, there will be a big focus on the intersection there. That's a busy intersection in the park. So the antennas will be the three sectors of antennas on the tower. So T-Mobile will determine where the need is, and they'll design the antennas to propagate to where the need is in terms of where the issues are.
I think the need is in that area. That's
For
all
sure.
I wanted to know.
For sure, there's a need, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much for the information.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate
All right, since we've had discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The next thank you very much. Next public hearing is on non-utility user fees. Open the public hearing, and Doug Sampson, Finance Director, will be presenting.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Tonight we are here to have a public hearing on proposed user fees. There is no action before you tonight. It is purely to have the public hearing on the user fees. I will quickly go through an abbreviated version of the presentation that we went through last week at our work session in great detail. Nothing has changed in the fee schedules and examples that will be presented to you. And a report has been distributed to council in the manager's memo on Friday with some of the questions and clarifications from last week's work session. Just a reminder that the last full cost of services study was done in 2009. We've engaged an outside consultant, MGT, to perform the study that has been available online since April. Participation was across all departments, and we took a bottom-up approach, which means that what we did was we looked at what it actually took to perform a service, came up with the cost to do those activities, and that's how we developed the fee at a 100% cost recovery. The primary goals of the study were to define what is the cost to provide the services, what activities we should have a user fee associated with, which one of those should be subsidized and to what extent, and then what is the overall impact on our revenues. Last week at the work session, we went through in department by department detail on the fees. I have a summary version of it above showing what the current cost recovery is for several of the departments with the proposed cost recovery and an example of the type of fees that are included in those. For fire and the development related fees, due to the modifications in the fee schedule and the hyper growth that we have been experiencing, forecasts are difficult for us to come up with. However, we do believe that a bottom line assumption is that revenue collections will remain neutral. We are basically shifting costs to the service provided throughout the entire fee study. The next few slides I will be going through are some project examples to show for the specific project, what would those fees be? As I mentioned earlier, we had provided some follow-up information on a couple of these to council for your information. We are also looking at some additional comparisons of the other fees with other cities around the valley to see how those do compare, especially the most substantial fees that we are looking at. The following examples are unchanged from the prior worksheet, from the prior work session, and a reminder that no fee changes have occurred since 2009, so it has been 12 years. Restaurant, 4,000 square feet, 4 acres. You can see the orange bar going to the green bar. There is a 11.5% increase. However, we are still among all of our comparable cities when we are looking at a 4,000 square foot restaurant, and that's a pretty straightforward comparison. Residential subdivision of 100 lots, same type of thing, going from it's a 1.5% increase from the orange to the green bar. And again, when you look at our comparison cities, we're relatively in the pack. And again, this is a pretty straightforward comparison where you just pop in the numbers and it comes out with what the fee is. Industrial, an 11.7% increase. In the industrial planned area development and use permits, all were highlighted at the council at our work session last week, where council had some concern with us being at the top or near the top on it. And those are ones that we are going to be digging into a little bit before we come back on July 12th with the recommendation. So those have been noted, and we're looking at fees, options, recommendations, and what goes into those. But again, for the industrial, we're in the pack, but we would be second highest on there. Going to the planned area development, this is one where there's a substantial increase in the fee. We would be the highest in the area. It's 100% cost recovery. There are alternatives available through straight zoning. And again, we are reviewing the standards and the requirements, and we are also looking to see what goes into this planned area development and what, if anything, is different for the city of Goodyear compared to our comparable cities. And the last example is a use permit, and we are doing the same due diligence on this one to see what it is that's different about that. This is based on 100% cost recovery, so what is it that goes into it that makes our fees so much different, or what don't other ones charge for or subsidize for? All of those concerns were brought up at the work session by council. Staff will be taking those under consideration and addressing prior to our recommendations coming back on July 12th. Implementation steps, same chart that we've seen before, slightly modified with the addition of a work session on July 1st that Development Services will be handling. There may be some questions and so on some of these fees, as well as other items that Development Services will be covering. Up until this point, the study that you have been seeing has been posted on our website for well over 60 days now, since April, for the study and the examples. We did a lot of outreach with the Development Advisory Forum, which is basically all of our stakeholders in this process. We received one letter from the Home Builders Association asking mainly for some clarification questions. We did sit down directly with Jackson Mole, answer most of those, and went through those clarifications with him. Since our last meeting, we have not received any additional emails, and we have not received any emails to the email address that was set up. So not a lot of input from the stakeholders, but a lot of opportunity for it. And that's where we sit right now. No additional emails were received. With that, tonight's is a public hearing to receive comment from anybody in the public, and the fees will come back on July 12th for council consideration.
Thank you. Are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Would anybody in the audience like to speak? Then I'm going to close the public hearing. As he said, additional information is being compiled for the council's consideration of the fee adoption presented in July 12, 2021. All right, we're on to the business, and I'd like council to remind council to wait for the motion and a second before discussion. First item number 10 is to set the primary and secondary property tax levies for FY 2022. Doug, you're still on. So.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Tonight we are here to do the final step of the fiscal year 2022 budget process, which is the adoption of the property tax levies. The property tax levies have been included in the tentative budget, which has been on our website since May 25th. We did truth in taxation notifications in the paper on the 18th and the 28th. All of our budget schedules included the property taxes. The city manager's recommended budget included the property taxes. Public hearing was held on June 7th at the council, and a roll call vote for truth in taxation was taking on it. So a lot of public outreach on the property tax levy. The property tax levy being proposed is $11,706,200 for our primary property tax, and our secondary property tax to pay for general obligation debt service is $8,604,100. The two of those together will have a combined estimated property tax rate of $1.73.5 per $100 of assessed valuation, a slight modification from fiscal year 2021. The adoption of Ordinance 2021-1506 for property tax levies establishes these levies, and it is the final item for the fiscal year 2022 budget adoption. With that, are there any questions?
Thank you. Are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
These allergies, I'm sorry, keep working at their highest. Would anybody in the audience like to speak? Will the city clerk please read ordinance number 2021-1506 by title only, please?
Adopt ordinance number 2021-1506, levying upon the assessed valuation of the property within the city of Goodyear, subject to primary and secondary taxation, a certain sum upon each $100 of valuation sufficient to raise the amounts estimated to be required in the annual budget for the purpose of paying for various expenses, to raise the amount estimated to be received from other sources of revenues, providing funds for various bond preemptions for the purpose of paying principal and interest upon bonded indebtedness, all for fiscal year ending the 30th day of June 2022.
Thank you. Can I have a motion, a second, to approve ordinance number 2021-1506? Do I hear that motion?
So moved.
The second?
Second.
I heard a motion by Councilman Vazillo and a second by Vice Mayor Hampton. Open for council discussion. See what a great job you get. No discussion. So, all right, let's vote for this. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes
Nay.
have it. Thank you.
Sorry, dude.
Oh, one nay. All right, number 11, item on business is to approve expenditures up to $1.3 million for a lease on the site of the Site 21 reverse osmosis treatment units and related budget transfer. Barbara Chappelle, Deputy Public Works Director, is presenting.
Good evening. I guess I get to kick off the Public Works show.
Sure.
So Site 21 is located on Saraville Avenue on the west side, just south of I-10, and I have a picture of it here. There are 3 wells that feed this site, and they are located north in the Liberty Service area. The city has leases from the Admin Irrigation District for those 3 wells. The site includes storage, you can see here, booster pumps, and arsenic treatment. As in the past, arsenic was our only constituent of concern from these source wells. This past winter, we had a sudden spike in nitrates in several of those wells. Presence of nitrates in groundwater is not uncommon in the valley, as it's a byproduct of agricultural activities. Unfortunately, groundwater can be unpredictable in its quality and quantity, and we are still researching the reason for this spike. Nonetheless, these supply wells are a very critical component of our water system and are needed to meet this summer's demands. Without them, we would have little to no redundancy during our peak flows, and it would put us in a very precarious position. So staff, in reaction to this sudden spike, began to track down some sort of a solution, a trailer type mounted. So I've got a picture here of what it is we're talking about. These reverse osmosis systems could be mobilized within our schedule. That we found them, 2 of them, on hand from a vendor. Suez is the vendor who actually had them on hand and were able to meet our schedule. So we quickly mobilized to get them shipped to the site, and we signed a lease agreement and got a purchase order to get us through to June 30th of this year. And what we're requesting tonight is up to $1.3 million for the lease and operation of these facilities for the next fiscal year. Obviously, we hope to not spend that full amount, but it will be a not to exceed if we had to really run them hard the entire year. As they are portable units, as you can see, they're not really meant for a permanent installation or permanent treatment at that site. They're also reverse osmosis, which you all are familiar with. We have other sites, and they create a concentrate stream that needs to be disposed of. We can't just store them because once they dry out, the membranes have to be replaced. So for these reasons, we're going to lease them and then work on a more permanent solution using other technologies such as ion exchange or a microbial system for a permanent solution on this site. With our surface water plant coming online, we feel there is flexibility to work out a more permanent solution once we get past this one more summer without the surface water plant. So skids have arrived to our site. Again, we're set for this month, and what we're requesting tonight is a approval of the expenditure to keep them in operation through the next fiscal year.
Thank you. Are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Would anybody in the audience like to speak? Can I have a motion and a second to approve the expenditures FY 2022 funds in the amount of $1.3 million to lease and provide operational support of two reverse osmosis mobile trailers at the Site 21 facility related to the budget transfer? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion by Councilman Stipp and a second by Councilman Loretano. Open for council discussion. Councilman Stipp?
I'm hoping you're ready for this, because I had a long conversation with Javier on Friday. What was the purchase cost of each of these units?
So we did not look at a purchase cost. These units are not for sale as they are a mobile unit. We could, if we wanted to install reverse osmosis at this facility, it would look more like the permanent skids we have at Bullard Water Campus and a building with chemical feed and all the appurtenances. The cost of something like that would be up around $5 to $6 million.
Okay, thanks.
Councilman Hampton, you're on. Oh, yeah.
Hi. No, I appreciate your timeliness of this. I was wondering why there was so much activity over there since I live right there. So, yeah, thank you for bringing this up. You said it's a year contract, and while you're working on that year, this mitigation strategy, then you'll be working on a permanent solution, which could include those options that you mentioned.
Correct. We hope to have something through this next budget cycle. We just have to develop the scope and what technology we would seek for the site for a permanent solution.
And it could be something like $5-6 million potentially. So we should budget or look into having that ready potentially if we need to in the future for our next budget season. So, okay. Okay, no, I appreciate it. Thank you for staying on top of our water in Goodyear. Thank you.
Councilman Loretano?
Thank you very much. Two questions. You said this kind of just, it came on. I mean, is this something that, you know, as the groundwater changes, it's going to go away? Is it going to move to other wells? Have we seen it in other wells, I guess?
So unfortunately, in the West Valley, there are wells that have been seeing increased levels of nitrate. We're currently in the process of installing some treatment at our Site 18 that never had our nitrate treatment before, but we saw that slowly ramping up, and so we had time to react to that, put in a project. It was funded. It's under design currently. This one just happened suddenly, which was a bit of a shock to us, and we're really not sure why.
Okay, so this was more of a spike that just came. I just wondered if this is something we're going to see. Happy to put these other ones, or it sounds like you've got a solution for the first one. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All right. So all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, number 12, item on business in an expenditure approval of the SRP water wheeling fees for the CAP deliveries. And we have a couple, so introduce yourself so we have sorted.
Good evening, Mayor Lord and council members. I'm here this evening to seek approval for expenditures exceeding $500,000 for both fiscal years 2021 and 2022 to pay the wheeling or the transportation costs in the SRP canals for the delivery of our CAP water. In 2017, council approved a landmark agreement with the Salt River Project to transport our CAP water through the CSIF, which is the CAP SRP Interconnect Facility, and through their canals to our new surface water treatment plant. In 2020, council approved an amendment so that SRP could also deliver any excess CAP water to the RID, or Roosevelt Irrigation District Groundwater Savings Facility. Both of these agreements directly put to use our CAP water, add resilience to our water system, and lessen our reliance on groundwater. So our recommendation is to approve the expenditure of $556,000 for fiscal year 2021 and $700,000 for fiscal year 2022 to pay for the wheeling fees to Salt River Valley Water Users Association and the Salt River Project Agricultural Improvement and Power District for the delivery of our CAP water.
Thank you very much. Are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
Would anybody in the audience like to speak? Can I have a motion and a second to approve the expenditure of $556,000 for the FY 2021 and $700,000 for the FY 22 to pay wheeling fees to Salt River Valley Water Users Association and the Salt River Project Agriculture Improvement at Power District for delivery of the CAP. Do I hear that motion?
So move.
Second.
I heard a motion from Councilman Kano and a second from Councilman Campo. Open for council discussion. I'll have to I know we've talked about this over and over and over again, but the way you put it down in paper to read for this is great partnership.
Mm-hmm.
I think that every step that's been taken, all of those entities must just be never thought of it, never, it came up and it was a need, and so when there's a need, they find something. So anyway, thank you very much. I'm always curious about your department, and I admire your knowledge of this. So, all right, council, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. The next item of business is the Bullard Wash Irrigation Tailwater Study Professional Services. Please introduce yourself. Are you Chris?
I am.
Chris Hamilton. All right, Chris. You have the floor.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Chris Hamilton. I am the Utilities Engineer in the Public Works Department. And I am here to present the Bullard Wash Drainage Study that we're looking to go forward with. Bullard Wash has historically provided conveyance of stormwater and agricultural tailwater in the region. Urban development in the area has continued to design stormwater systems that drain into the wash. Over the years, the wash has seen improvements that have made it an amenity for the city, as well as improvements made in the privately owned section of Pebble Creek. Pebble Creek originally installed a 24-inch pipe through their property to mitigate surface flows on the wash under normal conditions. Bottom wash road crossings within Pebble Creek property were built by the owner. As development north of Pebble Creek took place, the city also installed a 24-inch line that connected to Pebble Creek's previously installed pipe. This was done in order to mitigate surface flows under normal conditions for both the city and Pebble Creek. In recent years, tailwater flows have increased significantly. Development north of Camelback that includes new industrial facilities, Northern Parkway, and Highway 303 have changed flow patterns. Additionally, farming practices have changed over the years. The new practices allow the farmers for 100% of the water to bypass the farms during their planting season, ending up in the wash. A study was done by the city in 2018, and it identified over 200 potential sources of water with no set patterns of the flow. As flows seem to have increased significantly in 2018, the city inspected its section of pipe between Camelback and Indian School and discovered some root intrusions and a point in the pipe that had partially collapsed. The city moved forward with needed repairs. A subsequent inspection in 2020 identified no issues. The city also made improvements to the surface of the wash that included cleaning up vegetation and improvements to the existing surface low flow channel. In addition, the city reached out to the Arizona Department of Water Resources to try to introduce this topic in current water efficiency statewide discussions addressing use of the water, agricultural use of the water. The city recommended to Pebble Creek to also inspect their section of the pipe. Our understanding is that Pebble Creek has inspected and repaired their section of the pipe, and we are not aware of any improvements done by Pebble Creek HOA to improve surface flows at this time. Over the last several months, tailwater flows have been unusually high. These flows have overwhelmed the capacity of the 24-inch pipe, causing surface flows in the wash. These surface flows have their greatest impacts in areas of overgrown vegetation or in impedance like turf areas where water tends to pond. So with all of the things that we've seen going on, the city and Pebble Creek have come together to develop a holistic solution that will improve surface flows along the wash when the pipes are overwhelmed. Coordination between the city and Pebble Creek is essential since surface flows improvements upstream of Pebble Creek will have impact on the privately owned sections of Bullard Wash. The scope of the project is being finalized, and the city is expecting to implement a solution over the next 12 months. Timing for construction of the design improvements within the Pebble Creek property will be a decision made by the HOA, not the city. So we are going to look for a solution to what we've seen happening out in the wash. So we have gotten J.E. Fuller, who also did the 2018 study, so they have some historical knowledge of what's going on out there. A little bit of a jump start. Oops. So tonight I'm asking that you would approve an agreement with Pebble Creek HOA to enter into a professional services contract with J.E. Fuller. One of the things that I failed to mention is that each entity will pay J.E. Fuller directly for their portion of work done. So that's why it's a three-way agreement.
Thank you very much. Are there any speaker cards?
No, Mayor.
All right. Would there be anybody in the audience like to speak? Then can I have a motion second to approve the agreement with Pebble Creek Golf Resort Homeowners Association Number 1 to enter into the professional services contract with J.E. Fuller for completion of a study for improvements to the Bullard Wash from Camelback Road to I-10. Do I hear that motion?
So move.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Councilman Campbell made the motion. Councilman Lortali made the second. Open from council discussion. Councilman Stipp.
Thank you. I noticed that we don't have the cost of this in the presentation, but I know it was in the staff report. Can you, for anyone watching this, talk about that and how it's split, please?
Mayor and Councilman Stipp, the cost for this is $76,630, and the cost split is 72.5% for the city and 37.5%. 27.5%, sorry, 27.5% for the HOA.
As long as you're not working in finance, I don't care if you got the numbers wrong, that's okay. Just that's all good. So the breakdown by percentage is based on the percentage of who has the responsibility, proportionately. So as we go forward with this, since we have invested quite a bit already in our portion, any repair or improvement that is found as a result of this study, would we anticipate that future costs are going to be split the same way, or how is that going to work procedurally? Because
I think Barbara Chappelle is going to answer that question.
I'm sorry.
Someone
I'll
help
help out with that one. So the project.
Get closer.
Do I need to get closer?
Or sit here, or.
Sorry about that. So the projects may move forward either together or even separately. So we have the option for the HOA to just contract directly and do their own repairs, or if there is an economy of scale and we decide to do them together, they will still pay for all of the scope that's on their property, and we'll be responsible only for what's on our property. So if they have more extensive work, theirs would obviously be more expensive.
Okay, so we're not anticipating a cost share of the repair in a similar fashion.
No.
I'm anxious to find some resolution to this because obviously this is it's a large problem. I just want to make sure that we're setting expectations early for particularly the community involved, that they understand that it's a 70-30, if you will, split, because I don't work for finance either. So it's a 70-30 split right now, but if it comes back to be $1 million repair and our section is only 100,000, they're on the hook for 900. It's not a 70-30 split going forward, and I want to make that perfectly clear up front, not for you guys, but for anybody who's paying attention to this. You know, one of the things that we have to remember, it is the Bullard Wash. It is doing exactly what it is designed to do, and that's flow water. The problem is the collective society is introducing excess amounts of water into that wash. So for my neighbors who aren't affected by it, we're going to spend the money and do the right thing because it's a community problem as we move forward. So thanks for the clarifying info and the reassurance that you're not working in finance.
Yeah.
Councilman Pasillo?
Is there any possibility, apparently if the water is increasing in flow, its point of origin is increasing, which means I would imagine the farmers, and it's leaving their property and finding its way into the wash. Any problem trying to address that issue? Because at some point when we start allocating water, my understanding, the first thing to go is the farming. And you would think they would try to work on a solution to try to capture some of that water, either sinking, wells or whatever, some way they can, regain that excess water for when it comes to a point where they're going to need it. Is there anybody working on that side of the equation to try to fix this problem?
So that is why we actually had a meeting with the Arizona Department of Water Resources. They have assembled a agriculture conservation group to address widespread across the valley the practices of agriculture operations. And so we did reach out to them and ask them to address and really let them know what we're facing to see if there was any way they could help us. And so we're hoping that through that stakeholder process, there will be some conservation measures adopted.
Hope so, because again, if you got a problem, the source is the greatest place to start. So I appreciate digging in. And again, I appreciate Councilmember Stipp's question, because depending on what comes back, it may not be 76-20 or whatever that number happens to be. It may be where the fix has to be, could be significantly more. So,
Vice Mayor?
Yeah, like Joe said as well, I'd like to capture any of that water if possible and recharge it. So I'm not sure how continuous the flows are. I know it's sporadic, but if there's large amounts of water coming through, if we could take advantage of that, that'd be great. So I don't know if that study covers that or looks into that as well, or recharging or capturing those waters. I mean, it's okay if it comes to the city, but if we're able to take it, that'd be great too. So I'm just curious if the study covered that.
Currently, the study is trying to put some sort of predictability onto our flows. Right now, they're just so unpredictable. One day we can have high flows and then we might not see anything for months.
Yeah.
So it's really difficult. And that's the challenge with designing something to handle them, is that they are so unpredictable and they do vary greatly in volume.
Thank you.
Councilman Campbell.
Well, being a Pebble Creek homeowner, I can assure the council that we as a homeowner, we know that if we have repairs on our portion of the property, we're 100% responsible for it. They've told us that at every HOA meeting we've ever talked to them about the flows. And I've lived there 21 years. And in the last 4 years, we have had an unprecedented amount of flow. Up until that point, we never had an issue. unless we had a monsoon and it really dumped a lot of water, and within 24, 36, 48 hours, it was clear. So we didn't have that issue, but now we have, we're being overwhelmed by the water. But also the city is being overwhelmed by the water, by Falcon Park, because it's coming that direction as well. And the city has a pipe that is supposed to handle the water, and it goes underneath Indian School and comes on our property, and then we've got pipes all the way through. And as I understand it, we have cleaned our pipes. We hired someone with cameras to go through all of the pipes, make sure that they were all clean, but we're still being flooded. And I also understand that some of the thought is that there has been so much new homes built to the north of us, but the farmers are still getting their allocation of water. They're not necessarily using it, and it's just flooding down the wash. I don't know if that's true or not. We're trying to find out where it is. So I understand this as a homeowner, is that we are sharing the cost with the city only for the study to find out what we can do to either repair it or stop it or make it better. We're not asking the city to share any of the expense of repair because that's our property. Our developer built our homes right in the, we're separated by the wash. We have homes on both sides. So we understand that. But I also would like to know that we're trying everything we can to find out how we can stem some of this water, because it's heartbreaking to see the amount of water that's rushing through that wash day after day after day and flooding us out, and the water's going nowhere. So we do notice there's a lot of trash in the water coming down, cans, bottles. We had a bat. I forgot what else. We had some tires. I mean, people are dumping stuff in the wash up north, and when there's enough water, it flows right down. So it flows on our property or on your property, our city property, and it's backing it up. So I appreciate y'all working with our city, with our HOA to come to a remedy, because it is an issue. And it's something that we need to address, but we need to address it together. But then we need someone to tell us what we need to do, because as homeowners, we have no clue. And when Mr. Robeson built that property, he built it within the city specs. And we didn't tell him to put bridges over the wash, because we never dreamed we'd have the amount of water we do today. So we're doing, I think our HOA has done an extraordinary job in addressing as much as they can address, and I appreciate the city coming together with an agreement to have someone study it so we can try to figure out what to do. And I know there's no requirements on the farmers, so that's unfortunate, and we're the ones that are bearing a lot of the brunt of it.
And that was my questions on the farmers, because I understand that they're allowed to order whatever it is they need to order. And the thing about the farming is they change crops. So I'm sure that's a dilemma also. So how much water do you need for this? And then, of course, we got to think about the weather. I mean, so they have really unknowns, right? So it makes it very difficult. And I mean, farming's been around for centuries, you know, and nobody wants to see that go away. You can see the people that don't want us to build on some of those areas. They want the farms there. So I sure hope they surely come up with something to store that water when it does come through. It's valuable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure if we could find a way to bottle it up, we could sell it. Any other comments? Thank you for that presentation. All in favor say aye. 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 Opposed? All right, we're at the end of the meeting. So council, if you have any comments or accommodations, reports to give this evening? All right, then I'm going to turn it over to the city. Oh, Councilman Stipp.
I generally don't come up here to kind of brag, but I do have a big deal to report that last week at the Valley Metro Board of Directors meeting, I was nominated and voted in as the treasurer, which means in 2 years I will be the chair of the Valley Metro Board, which is kind of a big deal for our city with a little, thank you. to have one regional bus route and to have the chairmanship, I think, is kind of cool. I'm also serving on the Audit and Finance Subcommittee for the remainder of what will be the next 2 years, and have been asked to serve as the chair of that as well. So
Well,
kind of a moment for us, I guess.
We really appreciate that. I've been told sort of secondhand, off and on, how you've done and what you're doing. Haven't exposed that to you, but we appreciate that. That certainly puts the city in a great position to have one of their council people on a committee like that and be influential. So good job.
Thanks.
All right, city manager, you've got it. Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Did you do that a minute ago? I didn't see you. Well, you could do that more for this mirror. Okay. All right.
We had talked about before to possibly some, what do you call it? Something after the a break work session, okay? And since we've added a couple new fire stations, all right, I think it would be nice for the fire chief to maybe after the break to give us a overall presentation on how, the new fire stations are linking with our overall fire and how that's impact our service levels. We've added 2 of them, one far, south and the new one. So I think it would be kind of nice if we can get support from a couple others to have them give us a presentation on how it's all tied together and how it's all working out there for us. Because I know we're all proud of adding 2 new fire stations. Anybody else interested?
I think a
Bill?
communications item, yeah.
You had some additional, Bill?
I'm just
Oh, I'm
supporting
sorry.
Joe.
You
Yeah, he
done?
wasn't done.
You're not
I'm
done?
done.
I thought he was done. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I did have stuff for the manager. And I don't know if can I just talk into the mic without turning around? Because I'm going to need a brace when this is all over. So as a result of the comments regarding the user fees over the last, I just want to make sure, because Christopher sent out the potential agenda for the joint P&Z council thing today, and these were not on that, but that we do have the discussion about special use permitting and whether council really needs to see that or not, that we talked about last week at the work session. And then to get the answer to the question regarding the need for a PAD versus the straight zoning and where we sit with our zoning requirements that we're forcing so many PADs. So just, can we have that on the agenda? That's request number 1. And then request number 2, which I've already talked with the manager about, and we all received the email from a concerned resident over the weekend about the intersection of Bullard and Van Buren. We have created another 2-into-1 situation, southbound Bullard. And I had a very long discussion during the break prior to the meeting with the city manager, the city engineer and whatnot. So I think we're on it, but I wanted if the gentleman is listening or anybody else, that we're aware of it. I think for those of us that live north of here and drive down it, we're exposed to it every Monday night, if not multiple times throughout the week. So those are my only 2 requests. Thanks.
Thank you. I think the council's done. City manager, do you have anything?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, members of council. We have no council meeting on Monday, June 28th, so I have a couple of upcoming reminders. The first is that construction of the Goodyear Recreation Campus is nearing completion, and I'm excited to share that the public grand opening will be held on Saturday, July 3rd. The event will kick off at 8 a.m. with a formal ceremony and ribbon cutting, and then from 8:30 to 10, staff will be hosting facility tours and providing activity demonstrations. And then from 10 to noon, there'll be guided activities, which includes contests, games, and tons of fun. So the event concludes at noon, and then the facility is open for general use. We are offering a try before you buy opportunity for the recreation and aquatic areas, where Goodyear residents can check out those amenities for free July 3rd through July 18th. I'd like to offer a special thanks to Mayor and Council, our staff, the design and construction teams, and everyone else that played a part and worked so hard to make this vision come true. What makes the Goodyear Recreation Campus so special is that it was envisioned, inspired, and designed by the community for the community, and I'm looking forward to seeing everyone at our grand opening on July 3rd. But then that's immediately followed up on Sunday, July 4th, with the Goodyear Ballpark hosting the city's signature Star Spangled 4th event. Gates open at 6 p.m., fireworks at 9 p.m., with the event concluding at 10 p.m. Spectators can watch from inside the gates or while tailgating in the parking lot of the ballpark. Live entertainment, food and beverages, giveaways, and activities for the kids will all be available inside the gates. This event is free to the public and will be one of our biggest fireworks shows yet. Thank you.
I think we're all looking forward to that, all right? The next meeting will be a special meeting on July 1, 2021. We have a Community Facilities District meeting immediately following this. Yes, I figured you didn't. I saw you packing up. So no further business. This meeting is adjourned. So I'm going to call this, okay? I'd like to call the Community Facilities District meeting to order for June 21st, 2021. This is a joint meeting of the following Community Facilities District. Community Facilities General District Number 1, Palm Valley Community Facility District Number 3, Community Facilities Utilities District Number 1, Wildflower Ranch Community Facilities District, Wildflower Ranch Community Facilities District Number 2, Cotton Flower Community Facilities District, Estrella Mountain Ranch Community Facilities District, King Ranch Community Facilities District, Centerra Community Facilities District, and Cortina Community Facilities District. And we are all present. I'm sorry, I'm just reading something where I am. Now is the time for citizens who would like to address the CFD board on a non-agenda item within the jurisdiction of the board. Are there any speaker cards?
No.
Does anybody else want to speak? Okay, then will the city clerk please read consent agenda items 1 through 12 by title only, please.
Number 1, approval of minutes. Approve resolutions. Number 2, Community Facilities General District Number 1, Resolution 2021-190. Number 3, Palm Valley Community Facilities District Number 3, Resolution 2021-066. Number 4, Community Facilities Utilities District Number 1, Resolution 2021-117. Number 5, Wildflower Ranch Community Facilities District Resolution 2021-080. Number 6, Wildflower Ranch Community Facilities District Number 2, Resolution 2021-075. Number 7, Cotton Flower Community Facilities District Resolution 2021-073. Number 8, Estrella Mountain Ranch Community Facilities District Resolution 2021-138. Number 9, King Ranch Community Facilities District Resolution 2021-048. Number 10, Centerra Community Facilities District Resolution 2021-074. Number 11, Cortina Community Facilities District Resolution 2021-068. Levying upon the assessed valuation of the property within the district subject to ad valorem taxation a certain sum upon each $100 of assessed valuation sufficient to raise the amounts estimated to be required in the annual budget, all for the fiscal year ending the 30th day of June 2022. And number 12, adopt resolution EMR CFD resolution 2021-139 approving the modification of assessments in assessment number 005-02-043 within the Montecito Assessment District Number 2.
Thank you. So I'm going to pause here. Are you making a presentation when you came? You're not. You just want to sit here. It's fine. We love you having you sit up, Gerald. It's no problem. Does anybody on the board wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Can I have a motion, a second, to approve the consent agenda items 1 through 12?
So moved.
I heard board member Stipp give a motion.
Second.
Who said, who quickly? Yeah, and board member Brazil did a second. Roll call vote, please.
Chairman Lord?
Aye.
Vice Chair Hampton?
Aye.
Board Member Pizzillo?
Aye.
Board Member Loretano?
Aye.
Board Member Campbell? Board Member Stipp?
Aye.
Board Member Kano?
Aye.
The motion carries.
All right, we're going to go to the business section. I'd like to remind council or board members to wait until there's a motion on the table before asking any question. These business items are considered approving a Goodyear Community Facilities District debt payment. There will be a presentation on all 7 items. And Gerald Alkelson, who came early to the table, but we welcome him as the Deputy Finance Director. So you're on.
Thank you, Chair Lord, members of the board. I am from the Finance Department, so hopefully I have all of my numbers correct. Thank you all for the opportunity to close out tonight's meeting with 7 items, actions on debt prepayments within our community facilities districts. These prepayments will occur, we will expense them during fiscal year 21 so we can meet state statutes on our debt service fund balance limits that just came into place in March of this year. When a bond is originally issued, it has what's called a call date. On that call date, you can prepay directly the bond back to the bondholder. If you have not reached that call date yet, what we have to do is something we call is a defeasance. We complete a defeasance, which instead of directly paying the bondholders, we pay funds into a trust account with a trust agency. That trust agency is then responsible for the debt service. In the 7 actions we're taking tonight, 2 of them will be direct payments. 5 of them will be defeasances as listed here. You can see the amounts of the prepayments range from about $13,000 for Wildflower Ranch CFD number 2 up to about $2.4 million in Estrella Mountain Ranch. Savings for each of the CFDs varies mostly based on the amount of the prepayment, ranging from, again, about $300 for Wildflower Ranch CFD number 2 up to about $390,000 for Estrella Mountain Ranch. But the real target here is to hit that state statute fund balance requirement that we have. And with that, I will turn it over for any questions and discussion and action. I also like to apologize to our City Clerk Darcy for the length of our resolution titles that we have coming up.
All right, thank you. Are there any speaker cards?
No, Chair.
Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak? Will the district clerk please read the following resolutions by title only?
Number 13, Community Facilities General District Number 1, Resolution 2021-191. Number 14, Palm Valley Community Facilities District Number 3, Resolution 2021-067. Number 15, Community Facilities Utilities District Number 1, Resolution 2021-118. Number 16, Wildflower Ranch Community Facilities District, Resolution 2021-081. Number 17, Wildflower Ranch Community Facilities District Number 2, Resolution 2021-076. Number 18, Estrella Mountain Ranch Community Facilities District, Resolution 2021-140. Number 19, Centerra Community Facilities District, Resolution 2021-075, authorizing and providing for the transfer of available district funds to defease and redeem a portion of its outstanding district general obligation refunding bond, Series 2016, the direct payment or the execution of a depository trust agreement for the safekeeping and handling of monies to be used to pay the bonds being defeased, approving the form of certain documents and authorizing completion, execution, and delivery thereof, authorizing the taking of all other actions necessary to the consummation of the transactions contemplated by this resolution, and ratifying the actions of all officers and agents of the district and others with respect to the transfer, prepayment, defeasance, and redemption.
Thank you. Can I have a motion, a second, to adopt resolutions? Do I hear that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I heard from Board Member Basillo, we have a motion, and a second from, do I have to call him a vice chair or? Vice chair. Vice chair, okay. Well, you want to be, I want to do the right way. Vice chair gave the second. So open for board discussion. You look like you wanted to discuss something, you don't. Okay, anybody else? All right, let's vote on. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. There being no further business this evening, this meeting is adjourned. Not bad.